Hi everyone. Today I'll be looking at the chapter Self-Measure in the Making of Brilliant Leaders. So this chapter is not a product of one particular teacher, but this chapter has been developed by teachers at the Material Development Workshop in Kohima. It was published in January 2012. Based on their understanding of an article, Emotional Intelligence, Making of Brilliant Leaders by Olenai A. Busari, that appeared in the Nigerian Tribune Tuesday, 10th January 2012. So the chapter, if we look at the chapter, it starts with the comparison of the system of obedience in the past and the system of obedience which has been promulgated or which has been implemented or which we are following now. So if we compare it with the system of obedience in the past, the system of obedience in the past was based on fear and unquestionable sense of duty. So the first paragraph starts with the statement or the statement that this is now a thing of the past, in the sense that this punishment, which is also widely used in the past, even in schools, punishment meted out against the students, that is now a thing of the past. That is what the authors, or that's what the teachers, they started off with that. And obedience based on fear is a thing of the past. So today's society relies more on understanding one another and adapting to its others' needs. So today's society is more about understanding one another rather than trying to impose this system of obedience which is based on fear. If you don't do it, or if you're not able to fulfill this, you'll be punished, or you'll get your share, or something like that. So that is now a thing of the past. Today's society is a dynamic society. It's paradigm where leaders and followers constantly come together and adapt to each other's needs. So what are the qualities required in today's times? If we look at it, what are the qualities required in today's times? So in today's times, our society calls for a leader who, first and foremost, the first priority, a leader should know when and how to collaborate, accept feedback, analyze it, and then be confident and decisive in his actions. So it is more about reaching out, not just trying to form something or trying to implement something, not just based on one personal thinking, but collaborating by accepting others, or also understanding other people. So accept feedback. So the first is how to collaborate. So in order to be a leader, or the qualities which our society today need, is a person who first and foremost knows how to collaborate. So a leader has to be active, a leader has to be smart, a leader has to be understanding, he has to adapt, he or she has to adapt or evolve to the needs of other people, or to the needs of his or her followers. So collaborate. The other one is accept feedback. A leader who is snobbish or arrogant cannot be a leader of today, or he or she cannot be a successful leader. So a leader also needs to accept feedback, analyze it. So not just accepting it, but also analyzing it. What are the qualities? Okay, so I accept this feedback. My followers or my students are not happy with this. So where do I need to change? What do I need to change? What do I have to do in order to be a better leader? So, analyzing it and then be confident and decisive. So we have to be confident. A leader has to be confident. If a leader is not confident or is not strong and decisive, that person can never be a successful leader. So he has to be decisive in his actions and not just go with what other people say. So we also see that high mental intelligence cannot guarantee success. So this is a very big statement. If you look at it, according to psychologists and scientists, high mental intelligence cannot guarantee success. So what do we need to do if high mental intelligence cannot guarantee success? What are the other things which we need to do? So it says that if a person wants to do well within his work environment or in his professional career, he needs to demonstrate good leadership skills by being self-aware, self-regulating, motivated, empathetic, and possess great social skills. The sum of those abilities is known in psychology as emotional intelligence. So we're going to look at what emotional intelligence is in a very detailed manner. So what is emotional intelligence? EQ, in short EQ. So emotional intelligence is the ability to identify, assess and control the emotions of oneself, of others and of groups. So emotional intelligence is, this having the ability, being able to identify, to recognize, assess, to being able to get into something which we have identified and control the emotions of oneself. If we're able to control the emotions of oneself, of others in the sense that can be your followers, it can be people around you, and of groups. So that is emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is the ability to identify. First and foremost, you have to identify and then assess and control the emotions of oneself, of others, and of groups. Peter Salovey and John D. Mayer, leading researchers on emotional intelligence, propose a model that identifies 4 different factors of emotional intelligence. So we're going to look at the 4 different factors of emotional intelligence which were developed by Salovey and Mayer, which we will be calling it as Salovey and Mayer model. So the first one is perceiving emotions, the second is reasoning with emotions, the third is understanding emotions, and the fourth is managing emotions. So these are the 4 models. So the first one, perceiving emotions. According to the first model, perceiving emotions, it is the ability to detect, detect or to figure out or to find out, and then to measure it, or measure in the sense that after detecting it and then looking at it and then going through what needs to be done in order to come out with final solutions. So in many cases this involves understanding non-verbal signals such as body language and facial expressions. So perceiving emotions is like understanding ourselves as well as others, the ability to detect it and then to measure it and to come up with a fruitful solution. The second one is reasoning with emotions. So the ability to harness together emotions to facilitate various cognitive abilities such as thinking and problem solving. So reasoning with emotions. An intelligent person can capitalize fully upon his or her changing mood in order to best fit the task at hand. So reasoning, you have to or we have to come to a sense that there has to be some sort of reasoning with oneself, and then to come up with this facilitating various activities such as thinking and problem solving. So thinking about it, reasoning, and then just problem solving. The third one is understanding emotions. The emotions that we perceive can carry a wide variety of meanings. The emotions that we are able to see, or the emotions that we sort of understand, it can carry a wide variety of meanings. Understanding various emotions encompasses the ability to be sensitive to slight variations between emotions, and the ability to recognize and describe how emotions evolve over time. So if we look at it, basically it is more about controlling, understanding, regulating ourselves, and not to pour out, or not to just burst all of a sudden, but going one step at a time, and trying to come up with the perfect solution to figure out what should be the right step forward. And in the last one, managing emotions. So the ability to manage emotions effectively is a key part of emotional intelligence. Regulating emotions, responding appropriately, and responding to the emotions of others are all important aspects of emotional management. So managing ourselves, managing as well as understanding other people's emotions. So if we look at these four factors, there has to be this deep sense of understanding among yourself and others or groups in general. So if we are not able to understand one another, then this will never be successful. So if we look at it from just face value, it is such a perfect model. It is it'll be perfect. But the thing is, how do we implement it? And to implement it is not something very easy. It's through that we Nagas are so abrupt, so quick to reaction. So if you're not able to harness, if you're not able to reason, if you're not able to manage, then this self-measure and making of burden leaders will be worthless. It will be useless. There's no point in that. But if you're able to understand, if you're able to measure, if you're able to reason and understand emotions of oneself as well as of others, then this will be so fruitful. For example, like if we look at a wider perspective in politics, if a candidate understands his followers, or if the voters also sort of work together with the candidate or stuff like that, then it will have been so good. And now if we look at the schools, if we look at this now, it is so easy, but when we actually work on it, it becomes problematic. So if a student also understands that I need to do my work, I need to do this, I need to listen to my teachers, And if a teacher also has this responsibility, I also need to understand my students. My anger or my personal problems can never come in between the students. Whatever is outside stays outside. Inside the class, it's just me and my students. So, it's just about me teaching, understanding them, how to make them fully understand, how to adjust with them, how to adapt to the best possible way they can understand the teachings. That way, it will be very successful. There's also this example of one teacher. Harvinder is a school teacher, I know, from Punjab. So she gives an example of how difficult the principal was in the beginning, because the principal resorted to using this model of obedience based on fear. So the teachers, they did their works, but they did it just for the sake of avoiding trouble, but not for the sake of, I have to do it and I love doing it, and my leader wants me to do it, my principal wants me to do it. Not based on this sense of understanding or not wanting, but simply based on fear. And so that becomes a problem. But Harvinder goes on to say that next year or after that, everything changed, in the sense that there was this a good mood around. Teachers were happy with their works, the principal was recognizing their works. So if we look at it, the principal has evolved and adapted to the needs and understanding of his followers. So basically here, I say followers because the teachers are under his authority. So the teachers are happy to do their works. Some are doing their jobs extra, being happy. So now everyone is happy and they're doing their works. And why is this working so well? How is this possible? This is possible because of this effective understanding of one another. If you look at it, now if we look at this negative emotion and positive emotions, or many people make crucial decisions not only affect themselves but also around them. For instance, someone who reacts to a given situation instead of responding can bring about disastrous results in his surroundings. So there are two factors here. Negative emotions is associated with reaction. Positive emotion is associated with responding. So for example, the best example is if a teacher scolds his student for not doing his or her works, a student who is wise enough will respond in a positive manner. Respond in the sense of positive emotions. So how will he respond? He will respond in a sense like, oh yes, I need to do my works. If I don't do my work, then I will be left behind. I need to do my assignments, I need to do my works. My teacher has given me this task or these assignments which I have to fulfill it, which I need to show it or submit to my teachers. That is positive emotions. But if a student react that is associated with negative emotions, how dare he say this? How dare he scolds me? That is negative emotion. So if a student resorts to something like that, or if any person resorts to something like that, then nothing can come in between, or nothing fruitful will come out. Simple as that. There will be no solutions. It will create just more trouble after trouble. So that is, negative emotions and positive emotions. So these are the key points. I will not be able to go through everything, but I will look at the question and answers. Let me just open it. I'm just opening it. Okay, so let's look at the first question. What factors have made things better in modern times? So what are the factors which have made things better in modern times? If you look at the questions, the factors that have made things better in modern times are the social and organizational transformations affecting all aspects of our lives. So these transformations. So what are those transformations? This, like the first paragraph which I talk about. So now we have moved, or we have boarded this ship of understanding one another, and we have abandoned this ship of a system of obedience which is based on fear and unquestionable sense of duty. So these organizational transformations affecting all aspects of our lives. Why does the writer refer to our society as a dynamic paradigm? So the writer refers to our society as a dynamic paradigm because in today's society, both leaders and followers need to constantly evolve and adapt to each other's needs. What, according to the writer, are the qualities required in today's time? So I've mentioned that. I will not be going through it again. What is emotional intelligence? We've going through it. So emotional intelligence is the ability to identify, assess, and control the emotions of oneself, of others, and of groups. So what is its relevance for any individual? Why is this important, or why is it relevant? So the relevance of emotional intelligence is that it helps a person to do well within his work environment. So whatever you're working, if you're a student, you'll do well in your work, in your friend circle, in his professional career, or in society. Emotional intelligence also helps an individual to demonstrate good leadership qualities by being self-aware and self-regulating. So who are Peter Salovey and John D. Mayer? So they were leading researchers on emotional intelligence. They proposed this model that identifies 4 different factors of emotional intelligence. What are they? We've talked about perceiving emotions, reasoning with emotions, understanding emotions, and managing emotions. These are the four models. What do you understand by reasoning with emotions? It's the ability to identify, control, and make use of emotions. You'll be able to see everything from your textbook. What does neuro-leadership entail? What does neuro-leadership entails? So neuro-leadership focuses on leadership and leadership development. How relevant is its study for the modern individual? How relevant is neuro-leadership? Let's look at this. Neuro-leadership enables the modern individual to learn about his weakness and his strength, and thereby resolves accordingly, which results in better work in relationship and success in professional and personal life. How can one gauge the effect of emotional intelligence in a leader, or how can one measure? One can measure the effect of emotional intelligence in a leader by looking at the working and success of an organization. It's very simple. because a leader's ability is usually reflected in the response of his associates and his followers. So if you want to know the effect of emotional intelligence in a leader, you need to look at his work environment, you need to look at his organization. So if they're happy or if they're functioning really well, then we can come to the conclusion that, you know, his followers or his associates are responding to his leadership. So what are the promises of EQ development? We've talked about that. I'm not going to talk about it. So lastly, how can being emotionally intelligent help us in becoming brilliant leaders? So how can this emotional intelligence, if we are being emotionally intelligent, how can it help us in becoming brilliant leaders? So the emotional intelligence of a leader affects the working and success of an organization and is reflected in the response of his associates and followers. So understanding and responding to the emotions of others are important aspects of emotional intelligence. If we're able to understanding and responding, not reacting, but responding to the emotions of others, so are the important factors or aspects of emotional intelligence. It is a valuable tool that leaders can use to improve. Emotional intelligence also enhances good leadership and faithful followership. So if we are able to exercise, or if we are emotionally intelligent, then you can become a brilliant leader. So these are the factors, these are the important points. If you find it useful, you can share it with any of your friends. Or so that's it, and I'll be back for other chapters as well. In the next chapter, I'll be talking on Let Me Not to the Merits of True Minds, the Shakespeare's sonnets. I'll be talking on sonnet number 16, Shakespeare's sonnet. So if you're interested, you can join us. You can join me again in the next chapter. This video is made by using Behringer audio interface and Audio-technica and then Panasonic camcorder. Thank you, and I hope to see you again.